Hello, everyone, and welcome again to another Teacher Joseph podcast. Well, today there's a really interesting question, and that is there an easy way to learn a language? Now, I know that you've probably all thought about this, you've probably all Googled it. So here's the question: is there any easy way to learn a language? Now, all of us have had our moments with grammar books. We rush away, we buy the grammar book, and then after a few days, we become conscious that we haven't opened it. We become aware that its knowledge isn't finding its way into our mind, and we begin to think, oh, what's wrong here? Why was it so easy for me at school to remember something? And now I can't even remember when I opened this book the last time. You're not alone. There's many people out there who are asking the very same question. So in this little podcast, I'm hoping to try to help you find ways that makes learning a little bit easier. Okay? So we all know what doesn't work, first of all. We know that that book, which you rush out to buy, is not the be all and end all of learning. Be all and end all just means the beginning and the end. It's never going to have the last words about your performance. Let's talk about that for a moment. So, why do we do it? Why do we rush out and buy those books? Is it because they promise us English in 3 months or English in 1 month or whatever? No, I think, first of all, the reason why we buy these books is because the ritual of buying opens our minds up to the possibility of learning. And that is the secret of learning. You have to come to it being very, very open minded. If you don't come to it being open minded, then you're not going to learn very much. Because if you come to the table with an attitude of, oh, I can't do this, I can't learn, this is too difficult, then it's a self-fulfilling prophecy because you won't do it and it will remain a problem. So buying books shows how open-minded you are. Buying books, new pens, even a desk or a computer to help you with your learning is all designed to simply open your mind and prepare you for the way it should be done. And that's why simply going to the net and Googling English is rarely successful. So the buying books thing is good for your mental health and getting you in the mood, but it doesn't actually help you learn anything. You know, English people, when we go to the pub in the evening, we don't sit around and say, I'm really happy to see that new grammar book coming out. Why would we? That's not the kind of thing we talk about. And I'm sure it's the same in your language also. So you need to really get real and get into conversations. One of the best ways of doing that is to have a conversation with yourself in your head. After all, you are your own best friend. Well, most of us are best friends with our minds, not all of us. But conversations with yourself, writing out journals, the more creative you can be, the easier it becomes. Now, I do understand that when you come to a blank bit of paper with English and you have to write the story, there isn't a lot of room in that for creativity because you don't know any words. But you start off with something very basic. I went to the shops. I am Joseph. I am learning English. Even something affirmative. I can learn English. And it may be that in the first few moments you have to use Google Translate, but I can pretty much promise you that you'll never forget those words, especially if you're going to be writing them every day. Now, that's a very different thing from coming to a class every day or being presented with what looks like a huge book every day that you're supposed to be studying. That rarely works. Um, the other thing I need to tell you is to make English learning successful, you have to tap it in to your life. You have to connect it up to who you are. You know, if the language remains out there somewhere else that you go to once a week, let's just say that you're learning English, you go there once a week to the language school or to the italki class, whatever, and you have a feeling of, oh, here's this weekly lesson. I really, really don't want to do this. And teacher Joseph is going to ask me if I've done my homework, and I haven't. And I don't even have my makeup on, and I'm supposed to put the camera on. This is just terrible. If you're really having thoughts like that, then it's time to re energize your life. It's time to review English. That might mean, I mean, if you've tried a lot of times at home to learn English and it's not happening for you, what you could do is you could perhaps choose the place where you study, change the room, get out the house, go to the library, go to the coffee shop, make that your English time. You know, I honestly believe as I get older that there are some places where you just can't study. Now, I'm like that in my apartment. I can't study sitting on the sofa in my living room, and I can't study at the dining room table. I need to have a separate room for studying, and I need to have absolute quiet. So if the family's at home, I just don't even try. I just think, no, it's too stressful because they're going to ask me what I'm doing. They're going to be troubling me every 2 minutes. So it's better that I just don't. All right, so a few things to think about there, but the most important thing is English is not something out there that you're trying to grasp. It should be something that's swelling up inside of you, you know, something you can feel inside your belly. I don't mean like indigestion, okay? I mean something that you can feel growing, something that you're making, something that you're creating. Okay, and you don't need to rush out to get pregnant to have that effect either. It's something which you just sense is happening naturally. And if you aren't sensing that, or if something doesn't feel right, then you really, really need to be reviewing to see how you can nurture that feeling. I think for most of us, the problem is stress. Okay, so for example, after talking to 9 or 10 people and I talk you every day, the last thing I want to see is a textbook for a second language. All I want is to put on a movie and watch aliens landing, killing everyone, getting back into their alien spaceship and leaving. I don't want any complicated storylines or any movies, nothing. Okay, and I'm sure it's the same for you. So a time to study would be good if you could maybe work that out in your diary. Once you know when you're studying, you really need to check your mood. Is it a time you feel stressed? Is it a time you feel happy? Do you feel joyful? Are you coming at this from that kind of feeling that you have on holiday? You know, that feeling of, so happy to be here and life is wonderful because I'm not at home. You know, these kind of feelings we get when we go to other countries. Yeah, that's what you're aiming for. If you don't have that or you can't make that, there's no point coming to English half depressed. And lastly, of course, the most successful people are the most creative, the ones who are able to sit down and just begin writing. I think that's a wonderful thing. So, put all the books away, just take out your pen and begin to write something that connects to you. A short biography, a short story about okay, it's not doesn't have to be a serial killer in the park, okay? But just a short story about something that you like. It's a wonderful place to begin. And that's a very different thing from getting your textbook and punishing yourself for not looking at it. You will need that textbook, so don't throw it away. It's a handy reference, but you can't honestly expect it to be the be all and end all of your English. That's it from me for today. I hope these small tips have been helpful. Let's talk again soon, and I wish you all a really wonderful, wonderful day. Thank you, and goodbye.